15 minutes of Unapologetic Sam Nartey George? What's that?
I mean, I'm not going to take moral lessons from a brothel when it comes to apologies for what? I owe nobody an apology.
Wow.
I owe nobody absolutely an apology.
Exactly. Grab a drink. This is good.
I mean, I'm not going to take moral lessons from a brothel when it comes to apologies for what? I owe nobody an apology.
Wow.
I owe nobody absolutely an apology. They lack integrity.
Not true.
They are men of straw when it comes to integrity. They are men and women whose words you cannot take. If you have spirits manifesting in you, and the two spirits is that in the morning the person wakes up and is manifesting as a man, in the afternoon he feels he's manifesting as a woman, you need deliverance. The bill, we will pass it to the glory of God, and we will pass it to shame the devil. Here the devil is symbolic of all the forces.
Who is the devil?
All the forces, international and local, that are fighting. Africa needs a crop of young leaders who are Afrocentric in their thinking and who will say to the West and Europe, we would stay, hold our own, trade amongst ourselves. We will only trade with you if you are willing to come and negotiate with us as equals. This whole capitulation, this whole sense that we are inferior, that we are incapable of managing our affairs, it is that hypocrisy of African leadership that is leading to a revolution in the younger generation of Africans to say, these old folks have had their day, they've had their say, it's our time to take our destiny into our own hands.
He's certainly been one of the front runners in the African Revolution, standing up to the West, calling out the African leaders, and literally just has that new African mentality that has given a whole new outlook on that land and that territory over there. So give it up for Sam George and throw a like and subscribe out there while you're at it. Africa, one love, let's keep this ball rolling.
Those statistics that have been given to you guys at your communication meeting, that you guys have been vomiting all over the place, it does not wash. We are not unintelligent. We know what it is. So it is the irresponsibility of the leaders of our country. When the president and his vice are living like Arabian knights and kings and leaving the rest of the population to run on a shoestring budget, there is austerity. They are cutting the budget of ministries that provide social services to the people of Ghana. But the Office of Government Machinery has increased its budget. You must begin to question where the problem is. Is our problem really the IMF or the people who are leading us? And don't underestimate the power of the forces of Ghanaians when we say we will shut down those businesses. It is, look, if they want to threaten us, we will issue threats. And I'm issuing that on your platform. If they touch the speaker or any member of parliament, we will come after their business interest in Ghana. Because, like I said, it's about our cultural heritage and the innocence of my children and Ghanaian children. And the innocence of my children will not be mortgaged for any political party. What? I owe nobody an apology.
Honorable George, are you just a hateful person who does not want people who are different from you to have a life in Ghana?
That is a defeatist approach to ask me a question, a defeatist line of questioning.
What would you do, sir, if your son or daughter was gay?
Well, thankfully, I have 2 sons and a daughter, and none of them is gay. You're asking me to go into the world of abstracts. I'm a lawmaker. I deal with specifics. I deal with specific stuff. I don't deal in abstract. Maybe you should be talking to a storyteller or something. Where LGBTQ rights are legal.
This is about Ghana, sir. This is about Ghana, sir. So let's focus on Ghana.
Well, if this is about Ghana, then stop trying to import American values into the reasoning of Ghanaian legislation.
I am not an American.
There is a clear distinction between sex and gender. Complete distinction. Sex is a biological construct. Gender is a social construct. Sex is binary, male or female. It is the source code for even computer science, 0 and 1. To be a male, you have the XY chromosome. To be a female, you have the XX chromosome. There is no other combination known to science. However, gender is a social construct. That is why in some countries, as we speak today, they have 48 gender identities. In some, they have 100. So gender is a social construct. In this country, our social construct of gender is male and female, as our constitution demands and recognizes. So, Mr. Speaker, even the UN Declaration on Human Rights does not make gender the basis for discrimination or enjoyment of rights. It says sex. And once it is sex, it is male and female. So if you change your sex as assigned at birth, cosmetically or surgically, you are flouting the Constitution.
Wow. I owe nobody absolutely an apology.
That's the American Psychiatric Association delisted homosexuality as a mental illness. In fact, anybody who studied any of the mental science manuals, which is the DSM, Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, before 1974, homosexuality was listed as a mental illness along with necrophilia, zoophilia, and pedophilia. The decision in 1974 to delist it as a mental illness was not based on science. It was based on an opinion poll of only 6,000 people. So clearly, homosexuality is a form of madness and mental illness. And what they need is psychological care.
Wow. I owe nobody absolutely an apology.
Mr. Speaker, the Human Genome Project, and that's on science. The Human Genome Project is a $3 billion funded project by the government of the United States of America, which is the biggest investigation into the human genome. This project spanned 20 universities in the United States, the United Kingdom, Japan, and South Korea. And what they tried to do was to map out the human DNA to identify the genome. Mr. Speaker, they were able to identify the genetic marker that makes somebody like me. I only smell the food and I grow big. And there are some other people, they can eat 10 balls of kenke, they won't grow big. Like Sosu. All of this is genetic. What makes you have a bald head like Okujeto Ablakwa or have an afro like Sam George? All of these are genetic markers. Mr. Speaker, the Human Genome Project was able to identify the genetic marker that makes men have feelings, emotional attractions to women. It was able to identify the genetic marker that makes women attracted to men. It could not find any genetic marker that makes men attracted to men or women attracted to women. It makes me understand why Honorable Esla Usu did not have affections for Honorable Abina Asare, but rather found Mr. Ekufu attractive. If you put two men in a room and give them 12 months to produce as an offspring, they cannot produce an offspring.
What? I owe nobody an apology.
They serve in this country and make money from here and take back home. They cannot hold us to ransom. And like has been asked on this floor, Mr. Speaker, why is it that the American Secretary of State has not sanctioned the Secretary of Defense? Because June was declared Pride Month and they had transgender parades. The U.S. Secretary of Defense blocked and stopped a transgender parade on a U.S. Air Force base because he said the U.S. Pentagon, which is their defense headquarters, would not support such activity. Governor DeSantis has passed legislation against open transgender parades in Florida. Why have they not taken on their own citizens? In fact, in 2022 alone, there were 433 actions in State House of Legislatures across the United States, banning and clamping down on homosexuality. The Supreme Court of the United States, SCOTUS, just last week, passed a landmark judgment enforcing the rights of American citizens to refuse to offer services to people on the basis of their faith and because they were LGBTQ. Mr. Speaker, it shows you that even America has realized the error of their judgment and are walking back their steps.
What? I owe nobody an apology.
Over 150 ethnic groups in Ghana. Not one ethnic group accepts homosexuality as a cardinal part of that ethnic group, their culture or traditions. I challenge the gay lobby and anybody on this platform to show me one ethnic group that has embraced homosexuality. Again, I challenge them to show us any one of our 80 languages that has a word for homosexuality. In our local dialects, what is a foreign construct are described by phrases. So for example, if you are speaking about in Chi, which is a very common language that a lot of people speak, if you're talking about the computer, because the computer is a later day addition to the etymology of the Akan language, it is described as abefo efidie. It is not a word, it's a description. When you talk about telephones, again, a new construct is called ahumatrofo. We describe them. Now, when it comes to homosexuality, how do we call it? Kojoa oye ne ho te se besia. We don't have a word for it. We have a description for it.
It brings me
To Almighty God, my source, my strength, my being. I owe it all to Jesus, and I thank Him for it. To my family, my wife, my 3 lovely kids who prayed for me on Friday morning before I left home.
The CDD is funded.
That's right.
They're funded by, and this advocacy, all the work they've done with the gay lobby, the so-called Group of 18, they are Ghana's gay lobby. I mean, it's funded by the gay lobby and pro-LGBTQ groups in the US. They can run away from it. So let people not think that the CDD is doing an altruistic job and that Professor Gajipo is interested in doing academic research. This is financial. I have an interest.
And what's your interest?
My
Maybe
interest is the protection of Ghanaian cultural values and the protection of the innocence of my children and the children of Ghana.
Okay.
I've been stating categorically for a few months now that the president has checked out. The president has handed over power. I've said this before and I'm saying it again.
Why do you say that?
The Peace Council is one of the biggest problems of this country. They are hypocrites. It's a bunch of hypocrites who have sold their conscience, like the way Esau sold his birthright for a bowl of porridge. The men and women who sit on the Peace Council, if they have conscience and if they fear the gods that they say they serve and worship, they should bow their heads in shame.
They said they don't want to go beyond their remit, their mandate. They want to stay within their mandate.
It's a shame and a disgrace that men and women of that caliber have lost their balls. And that's why I say they serve no purpose and no use to this country. We have too many people sitting in positions of influence and authority in this country whose children have no connection to Ghana. They have alternatives. I have none. And I'll fix this country as best as I can in my small way. And I hope other people will rise and fix their own small way so that collectively we can fix this country. Uganda's economy is smaller than Ghana's economy.
Right.
Way smaller. Uganda had a president for all his wrongs. The one right thing you can say about M27, Yoweri Museveni, is very simple. He thinks that this is a mental aberration, which it is, and has gone ahead to sign a very punitive law. In fact, Uganda's law will punish you with death. Death.
Yes.
Ours is talking 3 years maximum. Day is death. There have been all of this back and forth and bashing from all the other places. The EIU projects Uganda's economy to be the 8th fastest growing economy in Africa in 2024. So the question we should ask ourselves, Johnny, is even how are we in this mess? Because it's not every government that automatically wakes up and goes to the IMF. You go to the IMF because you've messed up your economy.
That's right. You need support. You need help.
So the people who messed up the economy, instead of being humble enough and being repentant and contrite on their mess of the economy, are rather being braggadocious and telling us that but the economy is messed up and the only way to fix the economy is to sell the innocence. The only thing we have left is the innocence of our children. We are selling it for 700. They have collateralized Get Fund, collateralized NHIS. They've collateralized ESLA. Now they are going to collateralize for money the innocence of Ghana's children and Ghana's cultural heritage. Is that what we want? The mental health concerns and the cost to them for taking care of their mental health is growing. The young, I don't know how to call him a boy or girl, because he transgendered, who went into a classroom about 4 or 5 months ago in the US and shot up 22 children.
Yes, I remember that.
Mental condition from transgender. So when people say this is not a bread and butter issue, the safety of your children in their classroom, you think it's not a bread and butter issue? What? I owe nobody an apology.
Sex is a biological construct that transcends race, ethnicity, religion, and jurisdictional jurisprudence. Sex is binary. You're either male or female. God determines this at the moment of conception. A fetus carries either the XX or XY chromosome, determining whether it is born female or male. From my beloved Ningo Prampram constituency in Accra, Ghana, to New York, and Rio de Janeiro to Madrid or Delhi to Perth, The interpretation of X, Y, and XX is constant.
Wow. I owe nobody absolutely an apology.
And I want to thank you all for watching. Please like, subscribe, click that notification button so when I get information out, you get information in. I love you all. I just want to say thank you all for watching. We really appreciate you here, and you have a blessed rest of your day, and we'll see you on the next one.